In this video, we will be looking at matrices and some basic operations like multiplication and transpose used on a matrix. The first question says, Sia wants to write a code to multiply two matrices A and B and store the result in array named C. Sia wants to know whether the code is correct or not, and that's your job. So I'll wait for a couple of seconds for you to guess or find the solution. You can pause the video here and solve it for yourself, and then we'll discuss. To analyze any one of these functions, we first need to examine them line by line. The first statement says we're defining a function called void multiplication with two parameters a and b. Perfect. These parameters are supplied. We want a variable c in the memory of the same size as a and b. Then we are making sure that integers start from 0 and go to 2, which are the indices when we are using a matrix of 3 cross 3. This is fine. This is fine. And yes, these parameters are fine. As we know, when we're trying to multiply some matrices, it's essentially, let's assume that we have 3 cross 3 matrix and we want to multiply them. This column gets multiplied with this column and it gets added in the resultant matrix, and these operations continue. Then this column is multiplied with this column, this particular cell, and the value is added. This and this is multiplied and the value is added, and the value is particularly stored here. If you look at this particular line, this is what's happening. We are multiplying correctly and adding correctly and storing in the right value, right index. So I ask again, is there a problem in this question? So yes, as you can see here, there is a logical error. If you look at the options, first of all, the code is not fine. It does not produce addition and does not do transpose. So there is a logical error. The logic is correct, but there should be one more line. This entire logic for creation of a matrix with multiplication is correct, but we have not initialized the variable C. So what will eventually happen is there would be some garbage value where the variable C has been defined earlier, and when the user wants to print this value or does any operation on this value, the answer would be garbage. And we want to avoid that at all costs. So we should initialize this particular statement, this particular variable C, with zeros. Moving on to the next question, we are given a program to create the transpose. The program is syntactically correct, but there are some logical errors in it. And you are asked to mark these by selecting all the correct options from the list. Okay, so there are two ways to do this type of question. First, you can either examine the code, figure out the question, figure out where the program is wrong, and then mark them, or just work backwards. Since this is an explainer video, we'll go from code to the answers. Let's examine the code line by line. The declaration and definition of variables are correct. We have a matrix and called a matrix, a two-dimensional matrix, and a matrix called transpose with the same size. We are scanning two values, n and m, for the size. We are ranging two variables, c and d, from 0 to n-1 and m-1 respectively, and scanning. There could be an issue here. Since we are not checking whether the matrix is less than 10 or not, or we're not checking at the same time that if it exceeds the maximum allocated memory for matrix, this will give an error if the user gives a value of greater than 10. So that is one of our logical errors. Moving on. The scanf statement is correct and the format specifier used is correct here. The next statement, we're ranging from the same loop and we're incrementing values. This is correct and this is correct. But at this statement, I can see an error. Can you? We are not transposing the matrix. Rather, we are just copying it. We are using the same indices, C and D, that are used here, while substituting the value in the matrix which I have titled transpose. Rather, it should be in the braces D and C, and not C and D. So that's another error we have found. Also, let's keep looking forward. Again, the loops are same as previous and thus correct. We have deemed them correct earlier, so it's fine. The format specifier used in the printf statement is correct. But if you look closely here, we're not printing the output, or we're not even printing the matrix transpose. What we're printing is the original matrix we had taken from the user, and thus making the entire program moot. So we should be rather focusing on printing the matrix transpose rather than the matrix matrix. So this statement here, the variable should not be matrix, it should be transpose. And thus we have reached at the end of program. And yeah, so we have found 3 errors. Let's see how this figures out in our question. The format specifiers are not wrong. Indices of transpose assignment were wrong, yes. The program is not printing transpose but matrix variable. Yes, this is absolutely correct. And this is the logical error. I'm sure some of you have made this logical error while programming. And the size of the matrix is not checked. This is again an issue because we don't have any control over user input. So when we're writing a program, we should be careful of the conditions and the conditional boundaries. With that, this video comes to a close. I hope you learned how to solve questions with these properties. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Catch you guys on the next one.